Hello, I'm Robyn Kesnow, registered veterinary technician and the founder of Animal RN. This guy, who might be looking a little bored, is my dog. This is Talon, and he is the perfect pup to introduce to you my little tip today, and it's on pet insurance. Talon, Tadush, go play. The reason why Talon is the perfect pup to help introduce pet insurance and to talk about whether or not pet insurance is worth it for you is because this is the dog that changed the way I personally utilize or don't utilize pet insurance. In the past, I used to tell people if you had $1,000, maybe $1,200, you'd be okay with your pet. That could be a good emergency fund. And of course, that was also a time before I was a follower of Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover. You might have seen his podcast. I'll put a little link just in case you're interested. And so my ideas about debt have changed. Back then I would have said have $1,000 or $1,200, and then of course you can always lean back on credit cards. Once I became a follower of Dave Ramsey's principles and program, I now believe that you need to have the cash to pay for it. With Talon specifically, this dog is so in love, and look, he just brought me this. Drop. He just brought me this ball. He is so in love with this ball that if we were out in a field or out in nature, somewhere outside, that we didn't maybe know the terrain, and we're playing fetch with him and we're throwing this ball around, this particular ball, or anything like it, he would go over a cliff for it. I'm not exaggerating, I'm not kidding, I'm not saying my dog is stupid. He is so enthralled and focused when he chooses something to focus on, which as a herding dog is sometimes livestock and is sometimes a red ball. If somebody were to make a mistake, somebody that we're hanging out with, friends of the family, and they threw the ball for the dog and they threw it over a cliff, he would literally jump over that cliff. I could very easily have a major veterinary emergency on my hands. The other thing about this dog that has such high drive for whatever it is that he's focused on, which I chose, by the way, we had great fun. I'll put some fun video links in here because he's a great dog. The other challenge with that is that means he has full force in everything he does physically. And one of the injuries that can be quite common and nobody can do anything to prevent are things like cruciate tears, little knee tears, problems in the joints like that. It's not uncommon for a dog to stop their forward momentum and twist suddenly. That's a very common movement. How many people do you know that have had some kind of arthroscopic knee surgery? The cost of these things is basically such that now my number is $2,500 or really preferably about $5,000. If you don't have that kind of cash that you want to spend on your pet, it might be time to look at pet insurance. So when I'm doing the math to decide whether or not pet insurance is for me, one of the first things I'm going to consider is, do I have that pet emergency fund specifically? Is it $2,500? Is it $5,000? If it's a little on the lean side, am I okay with a pet emergency pushing into my other reserves, taking care of my family, my household emergency fund? Am I okay with going into debt? And just to be clear, I'm not talking about really crazy high-level medical things. I'm not talking about things like MRIs and CAT scans. I'm really focusing on basic, not neglecting our pets, taking care of them. I propose that rather than going deeply in debt, we consider pet insurance. Most plans, at least today as of this filming, are going to be an 80-20 kind of program. You pay 20%, they pay 80%. And to be clear, you're going to pay 100% and you would be reimbursed for that 80% after you put in a claim. If we're looking at those insurance policies going deeper and beyond pet insurance in general and having some of those wellness costs covered for us, the vaccines and things like that, I would highly suggest reading those very, very carefully. Some of the things that they cover you don't actually need, and so it would be a waste of money in that case. Also, some of the things aren't covered in the way you would think, so definitely read the fine print before you spend extra money on a wellness component. For me personally, I absolutely pay the extra few dollars to have a rider on my policy so that we can also be covered for more naturopath type medicine, TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. Acupuncture is something that I very much believe in for myself and my animals, and I wanted that to be a part of our coverage. If my dog is ever in pain, I know without a doubt the benefits that acupuncture can have on pain management, not to mention some other issues that could come up. But specifically thinking of a pain problem or recovering from an issue, I wanted acupuncture to be one of our options, and I wanted help with the cost because veterinary acupuncture is not inexpensive. And still, if absolutely necessary, there is a program called Care Credit. It's not something I personally want to lean on, but it's a possibility. What I don't like about it is it's really irresistible. It is essentially interest-free loans for pet care. It is a revolving line of credit for pet care. And this can get us into trouble because it can change the choices we would make. If we naturally had that much cash available to us, sometimes we wouldn't part with it the same way that we'd be willing to go into debt. And so this is why the Care Credit I specifically have trouble with. Besides my own philosophies, trying to follow the principles from Financial Peace University more, besides those principles, in general, we know, even if you don't believe in Dave Ramsey's stuff, that we spend money differently when it's borrowed money. If you'd like a personal review of your situation and someone to talk to about whether or not pet insurance might be right for you, we're always available for consultations. You can find us at animalrn.com.